Listeners, what if aging is not the problem at all? What if the real issue is the story we were taught to believe about it? That energy fades, purpose shrinks, and life slowly closes in. Because today's guest is 83 and he is quietly dismantling that narrative, one conscious habit at a time. Welcome to Divine Decode. I am your host, Pragya, and this is a space where we slow down enough to listen to our bodies, our patterns, and the deeper intelligence moving through everyday life. And here we don't chase quick fixes, we decode meaning. And today I am joined by Michael J. Dorfman, who is a certified health and nutrition life coach, investigative author, and a longtime advocate for whole food, plant based living. And Michael lives in San Miguel de Allende, Mexico. And for the last 17 years, he's been deeply immersed in nutrition, lifestyle, design, and longevity practices. Not as a theory, but as lived experience. And at 83, he continues to thrive through daily practices like breath work, intermittent fasting, meditation, hot and cold therapy, and whatnot. He is currently writing a book titled The Longevity Wellness Revolution, where he introduces a powerful idea, the fifth stage of life, which we will be talking about furthermore. And not to give you any more spoilers, let's go ahead with the conversation. And firstly, I deeply am grateful and honored, Michael, for hosting you today. And it's totally a pleasure to have you on board with us.
Thank you, Pragya. It's really great to be here, and I was looking forward to this podcast.
That's so great, Michael. And to start with, you speak about something that you call the fifth stage of life, which you are also mentioning in your book, right? So, for those who are hearing this for the first time, how do you define it and what fundamentally shifts once we enter this stage? So, there are two questions that I've put on you now. So, what is this, fifth stage of life, and what does it feel to be in any of these stages?
Okay, well, I came up with this idea of the fifth stage of life, which is begins at 80 years of age. I'm 83. Actually, I'm going to be 84 on the 6th of January of next year, so it's less than a month away. And I'm really enjoying this time. And I see that from 80 to 100, or even beyond the 100, uh, people don't consider this as a time for thriving. In general, people think that, well, you can live, to 80, you can live your to the 90s, but I don't believe that most people see this as a time of really a wonderful time of life. So why do I call this the fifth stage? Well, I divided it into five stages of life, just to go through it very quickly. The first stage would be from when you're born until you're 19 years of age, and there's a lot of development going on. Children go through a time of learning and experiencing hormone changes, and if it going through school. And then the second stage of life is from 20 to 39, and that's a time when the people get together, they get married, they buy a home, they start having children and having a career. And then we go to 40 to 59, which is a time when people are hoping for success, that they're established, the children move away from home, and they're starting their lives. And then we go from 60 to 79, and that is people start thinking of retiring, time to, sit back and enjoy your life. So, and that's what is until the age of 79. And from 80, you don't hear too much about that. that maybe it's because in most countries and most populations, it's usually the 70s that are, people start getting chronic diseases, or you're thinking about, well, I'm getting old now, I'm over the hill, not much to look forward to. So that was the fourth stage of life. Now I created the fifth stage of life, which is totally against what most people believe, that you can really thrive during this beyond the age of 80. And this is what I'm doing. I'm living this. It's become a real goal for me to really thrive during this time. And I'm finding ways of doing that. And it's, plant-based nutrition is, which you mentioned, that began for me 17 years ago, is one of the foundations of living a healthy life past the age of 80.
Okay. I actually, heard it through. And can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you now. I couldn't hear you before though.
I'm so sorry. The mic was creating a bit of issue. Okay. So I was saying thank you so much for that reflection, and thank you for taking us through that stage of your life. And thank you for also sharing your story through it. And I totally believe that the listeners also resonate with this, because there are so many misconceptions that we hold, that, certain age requires something that, just there is this perception that there is this age, and there are some certain works or some certain ideas or places that are only limited to that particular age and stage. And we forget that we are all humans after all, and that ages and stages, they bring with themselves new challenges and new memories and everything, which you can always experience. So thank you for your story through it. And you have lived a whole food plant-based lifestyle for 17 years now. And that is not a phase, that is a relationship in itself.
Yes, it's for me, I guess most of the world eats pretty much everything. It's meat, dairy, eggs, and some fruits and vegetables. But for me, I became a vegetarian in 1976, and it wasn't even for my health. It was mostly for my interest in Eastern philosophy and religion. So I began to study that, and many people, or maybe the majority of the people on that side of the world, eh, is be, they actually are vegetarians. So I became interested in vegetarianism, and I started eating everything except meat. And that lasted for several decades, and I was getting sick every year. Not very seriously. I would get sore throat, congestion, fever, flu-like symptoms, and it was happening at least once or twice a year. And I couldn't understand why that was happening. I thought a vegetarian would be enough for me. But eventually, I did research, and I started listening to doctors and experts on the plant-based nutrition, and I learned that uh, my the immune system is such an important thing to keep it very strong, and I didn't have a strong enough immune system, and I think maybe it was the dairy that was holding me back. So I decided, after reading several books, that I was going to give up dairy and eggs, and that's what I did. And that was 17 years ago. and it's become a staple of my life. I'm very serious about it, and I gradually learned more and more the importance of plant-based foods and the need for fiber, the need for nutrition, very high levels of nutrition, so which comes from the plants, and that's what is one of the main foundations of what drives me in this later stages of life.
And I really appreciate this lens. And it's beautiful to, sometimes know your new routines and your new practices and see how your life takes you through it.
Well, thank you. And yeah, wrote my first book. I published my first book in 2019, uh, and it was The Thriving Vegan, which it was based on almost entirely on plant-based nutrition. And ever since then, I started adding other other lifestyle practices, and most of it was well, the beginning of it was because of the I began studying the blue zones. I don't know if you're familiar with the original 5 blue zones, which are considered the healthiest and longest living people on the planet. And one was Okinawa in Japan, Sardinia in Italy, Ikaria in Greece, Nicoya in Costa Rica, and Loma Linda, California. And these people, these populations were discovered by Dan Buettner, who wrote 9 books on the Blue Zones. And he traveled, this was I think it was around 2009. He traveled with his team to find where the healthiest and longest living people on the planet live. And these are the 5 zones that he discovered. And not only to discover zones was the goal, but also to find out what similarities, what did these 5 populations where they lived so separated in distances by oceans and land, what did they have in common? And if we could find out what these populations had in common, we can apply these principles to our own life. So it is then when I found, I, I read and I saw that beside plant-based nutrition, which was common among those 5 populations, there was also other principles that were very secrets. Maybe you can call them secrets that they had in common. And one was the exercise, which we know is very important it's for health, but it wasn't exercise like going to the gym or lifting weights. It was natural exercise. They were in rural areas where their life was based on movement, on activity, and not just sitting around and watching the TV or sitting around and just talking on the phone, so which is very common in today's world, especially among the young people, that we don't exercise, we don't move. And this is one of the areas that was common among these 5 places. And something else was very common, and it was to deal with stress, which we have a lot of stress in the world today, based on relationship, our jobs. We're not sure of our jobs. We have problems. There's so much violence going on in the world, causing stress. So it's how do we deal with the stress that we have in our life? And that was another. They did meditation there, Tai Chi, yoga, and I meditate. I do different types of movement exercises. And then there was something else that was very common among these 5 places, and that was the importance of community. We're human beings are social animals. We do very well in groups. From millions of years ago, or hundreds of thousands of years ago, that human beings were always in groups. They helped each other, they worked together, they solved problems, and that's what we do very well with today. But unfortunately, in the Western world, especially where I live in Mexico, we don't we think that talking to each other on the phone is good enough. But I feel and I've learned that community, caring community, where you're with people, people you enjoy to be with, people who care about you, it's important that that's an important part of life. And then another thing that was common among these five blue zone places is having purpose. That people wake up in the morning and there's a meaning to be alive. They have purpose. They have something that they love to do, and this is important if you want to live in the fifth stage of life. That there's something, a deeper meaning to life that you're attracted to and you express.
That is beautiful. And thank you for that journey and that insight. I love it. And thank you for also, you know, making us know about the zones too, because these are the insights that we often, just don't follow up with. And thank you for all the wisdom that you shared. Now, longevity, which I talked about in your intro as well, it isn't just about adding years, right? It's about the quality of those years. So, how do you personally stay connected to purpose and joy when life it inevitably changes, and when roles shift, routines dissolve, or people they fall away? How do you stick to your quality of years and not different?
I think more than anything, it's a change in my mindset, uh, that I am living this, and it's hard to even explain. It's just believing and then knowing that it is really true that you can thrive during these years. And I think that change in mindset is you become one with that. You become you. I like I Here I am. I'm going to be 84 years old, and I truly believe that it's real because I'm living it. Most people who write about longevity are still in their 40s and 50s and 60s, and they don't really know what it's like to live in your age. You don't know what you like it's like to live in your 80s when you're 50 or 40 or younger than that. You could just research on that. You could speak to people about that. So I feel that, I will being a representative of the later years has become a very important. It's the most important thing for me, and really understanding that it's true. If you change your lifestyle, if you eat proper nutrition, uh, maybe you don't. In the blue zones, for example, even though they're plant based, they did eat. Some places did eat some meat. They did eat some fish, and so it's not if you can't be 100% plant-based, so but the more plants you eat, uh, the healthier you will be. And it's important to get the proper nutrition plants because, there are people that call themselves vegans. I don't particularly call myself a vegan because vegan it doesn't mean you're eating healthy. It means you're not eating meat or dairy or any animal products, but it doesn't mean you're eating healthy. You can eat cake and cookies and potato chips and drink Coca-Cola and you're a vegan, but it's something really when you start practicing a healthier lifestyle, you get to the point where it's true. That I feel right now, in this time of life, I feel I think as healthy as I've ever felt. Even when I was in my 20s and 30s, I don't know if you've heard the sport, it's called pickleball, but it's a very It's a wonderful sport. It's competitive sport, and I play this 4 times a week, and I play against, here I am in my 80s, and I'm playing against, younger people in their 30s and 40s, and, I'm competitive, and I feel energy, and, uh, it's it's just a change in mindset that people need to have, and I think the most important change in the mindset is that you can enjoy the later years. You can enjoy being in your 80s and 90s, but one of the most important things is that you need to be healthy because if you're in the 70s and here in the West, 75% of the people already have a chronic disease. And once you start having a chronic disease, whether it's, heart disease or cancer, type 2 diabetes, high blood pressure, and people are obese, it's difficult to enjoy yourself because you get worried. You have to go to the doctor and then you put on medications. So I think that it's very important for people to understand that it's one of the basics for this to enjoy later life is to be healthy, and that also that, health is not something you want to begin when you retire, in your 60s and 70s. You need to start when you're younger, and that'll give you a good, opportunity to thrive later on in life. So, I think it's important even though through the other 4 stages of life that I talked about, it's important to recognize that health has to be an important part of it in order if you really wanna, if you really wanna enjoy your later years. Maybe you don't want, maybe people don't care if they live to 100 or they live to 90, but, this is for people who really treasure treasure life and really see life as a gift that comes for me anyway, you can believe in the reincarnation, but for me, it's what we get this gift once and it's very short. Life is extremely short. And you get older, you start experiencing that. It's like it seems like every day is going by so fast. So life is a gift, and our body is a gift because for me, it's the place where our life resides, where our life lives. Without the body, we couldn't be, we're not alive. So it's the life and the body needs to be treasured and seen how precious it is, and it is a gift, just like life is a gift. So if we really want to appreciate life and the gift that it is, we need to also take care of our bodies so that we can live as long as we can healthfully in the during the time that we have.
Oh my God, that's so so true, and it's so essential to look at life through this lens. And that is so so beautiful. You've covered literally everything, and there is just one thing that I have to add on to this for our listeners, that if there is one thread weaving through this conversation, it is this: that your future self is not created through dramatic overhauls, and it is shaped quietly through the choices you repeat when no one is watching. And the divine decode is simple: what you practice, you become. And you look at your life the way you want to, and it will turn out in the best way possible. And that is what I'm taking from Michael today. And if this conversation resonated, share it with someone who's been quietly dreading aging, or feeling like their best years are behind them, and they're just not feeling too great, because Michael is truly an inspiration. And coming to you, Michael, thank you for your wisdom, your grounded honesty, and for offering a version of aging that feels expansive rather than limiting. And if you'd like to explore Michael's work, listeners, you can connect with him via his Podmatch profile and keep an eye out for his upcoming book, The Longevity Wellness Revolution. This is Divine Decode. I am Pragya, reminding you that it's never about reversing time. but about meeting it consciously. And there is so much more that Michael has shared in his book, and he keeps on sharing with us. And, keep your habits intentional, your questions alive, and your next decade more nourishing than the last. I'll see you next time